Get your hat in your hand. Everyone is talking about Duggar's newest wedding beauty. Johannah Duggar is getting together, married, and Jim Bob's surprise answer will blow your mind. We talk about the details of Johannah's surprise appearance in today's film. I'm interested in her new fans and how Jim Bob is planning his daughter's wedding. This one has turns that are incredibly twisty. Stay tuned for all the important details. Everyone knows about the Duggar family for years, but news of Johannah Duggar's impending wedding has brought them to a whole new level of attention. This is because one of the younger members of the famous Duggar family surprised fans and people who follow their life, which makes people wonder what made them make this sudden decision. How did Johannah's family react? And most importantly, how did Jim Bob Duggar, the family leader, handle this important event in his life? In this exclusive news story, we'll talk more about the details of Johannah Duggar's surprise wedding. This article tells you everything you need to know about Johannah Duggar's wedding day, from the family's constantly changing relationships to the plans going on behind the scenes. Check out Jim Bob's surprising response to the news. The Duggars first became well known for their hit TLC reality show 19 Kids and Counting. As one of the most talked about families in America, the Duggars' huge size has been linked to debates, family problems, and successes over the years, making them one of the families that have been shown on TV. The daily lives of Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar as they raised their big family in Arkansas. The Duggars became well known for their strict religious views and traditional values very quickly. Johannah Duggar is one of the more quiet people. Jim Bob and Michelle's younger daughter. When it comes to the news, Johannah has been pretty quiet. Her fans mostly know her as a shy, sweet girl who loves spending time with her family, especially her brothers. But now she's ready to come out of the clouds and start her own path to marriage. Many of Johannah Duggar's fans were shocked when they heard she was engaged. They didn't think she would be the next sister to get married, like some of her older brothers who have had well-known engagements. Unexpected and quick family sources said that Johannah and her fans had been seeing each other behind closed doors for a few months before they decided to break up. People began to think Johannah was engaged when she was seen wearing a big diamond ring to a family event. This immediately led to rumors, and within days, a young guy named Steven was Johannah's fans, but not much was known about him. The Duggar family confirmed the news, even though they didn't know much about him. Someone who is said to be a devout Christian with values similar to those of the Duggar family's followers quickly reacted on social media to show. Many people wanted to know more about the timeline and if Johannah's family had any say in the decision-making process. At the same time, fans were very interested in Johannah and her new fans, which led to questions about how they got engaged. The family father, Jim Bob Duggar, was one of the most talked about people because of how strict and exact he was with family matters. Fans in a letter to family, Jim Bob talked about how happy and excited he was for his daughter's future wedding, but many people thought his words were a little quieter than those of other Duggar parents at their children's weddings. Jim Bob has been criticized for being too involved in his kids' lives. He didn't seem to be as involved with Johannah as he usually is, which would have made many people wonder if there was a problem in the family. Several close family friends of the Duggars say that Jim Bob's answer might have been less strong because of how complicated his relationships with some of his older children have become over the years. People have said bad things about Jim Bob's strict parenting style, which has made it hard for him to get along with some of his adult children. Because of this, there are reports that Jim Bob might be more careful with Johannah and let her make her own choices, even though he is more careful. Reports from Jim Bob's engagement family members say that he has gently blessed the pair and even helped plan their wedding. Arkansas's tiny town hold on tight, Duggar fans. What no one could have imagined has happened, and it's shocking both family and fans. The quiet, often overlooked daughter of Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, who could be seen playing in the background of 19 Kids and Counting, has now become the center of attention by saying, "I do." There you have it, Johannah Faith Duggar is now married. Most people might be happy and celebrating right now, but Jim Bob, the father of the Duggar family, is not among them. Sources say that the wedding caught him off guard, and what's worse, it wasn't at all what he had planned for his daughter. A wedding that the Duggar nation didn't see coming. There had just been rumors that Johannah was going to get married when the big news came out. She was already married. When her older sisters dated and got married, It was all over the internet, TV, and family YouTube feeds. But Johannah kept it all a secret. There was no fancy proposal photo shoot. There are no planned dress fits. Not a family-led film clip of a courtship. Still, Johannah got married last weekend. On her own terms. Someone who went to the wedding said, she looked beautiful, elegant and bright, but it was clear that this wasn't made by the Duggar family. This was her chance. Not a Duggar-approved match for Meet the Groom. Johannah fell in love with Isaac Zeke Walker, a music producer from Nashville, Tennessee, who is 24 years old. Zeke grew up in a Christian home, which is very different from IBLP society. He is described as artsy, kind-hearted, and deeply spiritual, but not legalistic. It is said that they met last year at a Christian meeting in Little Rock, where Zeke was leading prayer. Friends say that after sparks flew, Zeke and Johannah started writing letters to each other in the old-fashioned way. Soon, they were calling and video chatting every day. A friend of Johannah said, they did things differently. Still being polite, still based on faith, but not like the Duggars. It is said that they dated quietly for almost 8 months before choosing to get married, which made Jim Bob very sad. This is not how we do things. Insiders say Jim Bob was shocked and furious when Johannah told him she was getting married. A source said, he thought he'd have full control over how and when she courted. But Johannah was already a long way ahead. She made up her own schedule and wasn't asking for approval. What made things worse? It was said that Johannah wouldn't let Jim Bob vet Zeke, which is something that every other Duggar lover has had to do. Jim Bob was known for asking possible husbands about a lot of different things, from money to religion to how they felt about power. It was polite of her to say no this time. I love you, but this is my choice, she told him. And that broke his heart. The ceremony was simple, beautiful, and surprisingly small. The wedding took place outside in a country setting in Tennessee. It was described as small, warm, and very personal, which was very different from the big, often planned Duggar events of the past. She carried a bunch of wildflowers and wore an A-line dress with delicate lace details and gasp. No sleeves. She wore a small flower crown instead of a veil and let her hair fall in soft curls. No more bridesmaids' outfits that had to match and no more than 100 guests. She instead only asked her closest friends, Zeke's family, and a few brothers who didn't mind her quiet disobedience. A guest said, it was beautiful. So different from what the Duggar family usually does. You could tell she was at peace. The Jim Bob accident. Back in Arkansas, Jim Bob was said to be very sad. Sources say that he and Michelle were invited, but they didn't go because they had convictions and concerns about how the courtship was handled. A family member said, he wanted to walk her down the aisle. He thought it should be done the Duggar way. Johannah didn't want to wait for his approval, though. She walked on her own. It is said that Jim Bob refused to recognize the wedding in public after the service. His social media pages for the Duggar family are empty, and he hasn't said anything. He feels like he lost control, said a family friend who has known him for a long time. She had always been independent, but he didn't think she'd go this far.